All right, so let's spend a little bit of time talking about one of those cloud capabilities that's in there, OpenStack in particular. Now, OpenStack itself is an industry consortium. So there's an OpenStack.org that you can go out and check out on the web, and it's a collection of projects that are managed through this forum itself. It provides a massively capable cloud and compute environment for both public and private or hybrid environments themselves, and allows you to control an enormous number of compute, network, and storage resources, either through a graphical user interface, a dashboard itself, or through API, so from a programmatic standpoint itself. So I suggest that you think about going out there and Googling the OpenStack.org organization. Intel was one of the founding members of OpenStack back in 2011. Put this together, there are about 1,000 companies that are participating in the OpenStack org now. There are over 18,000 contributors to the software development that takes place into that environment, and representing about 148 different countries, give or take. There's a regular cadence that the OpenStack releases their software on, their modules on. Every 6 months, there's a new release that comes out. And some of those releases are what they call long-term support, or LTS. So release 13 and release 16 and then 19 are going to be LTS, long-term support. And then the intermediate releases, for example, then 14 and 15, are going to have new features and capabilities developed in them. And you might want to think about those as being precursors or views of features that are going to come. So if there's a critical defect, for example, and you're on a long-term support release, you're going to have capability of having that patched for many years in advance. And if you're on one of those intermediary releases, you might want to consider the operational considerations that your organization will take place, that will take on if you've chosen to head down that path itself. So we talked about projects themselves that are inside this OpenStack environment, inside the architecture, and this table lists just a few of them. There are a lot more than this that's in here, but I just want to highlight some of these projects, and the reason they're here, these are probably the foundation. They're the critical ones. They're the most important itself. So I mentioned the graphical user's interface, or that UI that's in there. Horizon is the project that provides that graphical dashboard that allows for the management of those cloud compute resources through this VNI, the virtual interface instantiation management that is an OpenStack environment itself. For the compute resources themselves, Nova is the module that provides that. Networking is very critical. That comes from a Neutron standpoint. Again, if you think about virtual machines, there's something that has to take control of the network translation from the host operating system's IP addresses, for example, and those that may be IP addresses associated with the virtual machines are up there. And Neutron is the mechanism that does that inside OpenStack. Swift, Cinder, and Glance are the three modules that provide the storage for object, block, and image. And then from a security standpoint, there's a package that's known as Keystone that provides the identification and authentication so that you can be assured that the system itself is locked down and is the one that you're interested in operating on. We mentioned orchestration a little bit before. Heat is the module that provides the orchestration inside OpenStack, and you might hear people talk about heat scripts themselves. So these really are they're human readable scripts that tell us how to apply the configuration and instantiation to create those compute resources that are in there. Obviously, when you start looking at this disaggregated cloud environment, the compute resources, the performance of them and of that environment are going to be critical. And the project that provides the information to manage and control that is known as telemetry. And then finally, databases would be supported through the environment called Trove. So again, these are just some of the highlights of the key modules that are inside the OpenStack environment. I certainly encourage you to, if you're interested in that, go ahead and Google it if you're not already familiar with what's happening in OpenStack. Tremendous amount of information that's available to you.